The author of Mahabharata is believed to be Vyasa, who was born to the sage Parasara, and the story has it that at first he dictated the epos to the Lord Ganapati. However, since during these ancient times the majority was unlearned, so it was necessary to give the tale away through the means of oral history. We might imagine that when Vyasa was talking to Indian boy, probably his son, the sage Sukha, who visited him during his contemplation and expressed his desire to know the tale, he would say, "If you listen carefully, at the end you will be someone else." And he starts telling the story to the young boy. The entire Mahabharata contextualizes the famous Bhagavad Gita, since Bhagavad Gita is basically just a conversation between Arjuna, who was supposed to start a battle but hesitated, and his chariot, the Krishna. Arjuna was with his brothers for many years in seclusion, and meanwhile their cousin started to feel entitled for the kingdom and the heritage. That is why the battle was to be fought. But Arjuna was devastated, seeing the teachers who he admired and loved, and the people who raised him. He wondered if it would not be better to go back to the exile rather than to kill those who brought him up and taught him when he was a kid. Krishna, who was driving his chariot, was reminding him that he and his brothers were waiting in exile for this moment for 13 years, and that by his hesitation, Arjuna is betraying the soldier's duties. The entire conversation between the charioteer, Krishna, and the hesitating and morally troubled warrior ends with Arjuna giving the command to his army to fight against Kauravas, who were at first led by Bhishma, later on by Drona, Karna, and Salya. And this conversation between Arjuna and Krishna is what we know as Bhagavad Gita. We can never truly comprehend the meaning of Bhagavad Gita without reading it in the context of Mahabharata. The dramatic story of Kshatriya's fight speaks about defeating one's enemies, but asks many questions about whether peace and joy can be attained together with the outward victory, especially when slaying one's relatives is the price for it. This was the initial Arjuna's dilemma. The battle ended by defeat of Kauravas and victory of Pandavas, who became the rulers of the land without further questioning. Although they were able to continue their duties and to rule, was it the joy they have found alongside the power and the land?